So when it comes to the FX industry, payments was never considered to be a seamless practice. But lately, it seems that the credit card companies have become pseudo-regulators when it's getting harder and harder to process payments. So to discuss this topic and many others, we have my colleague, foreign exchange editor at Finance Magnets, David Kimberly. Please.
Hi guys, thanks very much for making it here. I'm sure many of you are a bit hungover, but all is well. So yeah, as Michael said, I think a lot of the talk around the event and here, and also speaking to people downstairs, has been about regulation, ESMA, and how this has made life tough for brokers. But equally important, it seems, is payments. And I'm sure everyone is aware of the problems with Visa and MasterCard. As the CEO of Leverate said to me about 6 months ago, it's actually, he said, it's the payments companies who are choking the industry, not the regulators. So I have with me some leading guys from the payments industry who are going to discuss some of the problems and challenges they're facing, how they can overcome them, and I'll let them introduce themselves now. So, Boaz, you want to...
Hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Boaz Gam. I'm the CEO of Payment Easy Technologies. We are a European company registered in Gibraltar. We're in the market for over 14 years, serving many types of payment companies, starting from large banks. We have MasterCard as a customer, down to PSPs, major PSPs of the industry, like ZotaPay, Fibonacci, Solid Payments. And also we are serving large merchants who are needing a cashier to manage all their PSPs, alternative payments, crypto, and so on, that we'll talk afterwards.
Hi, I'm Ran Cohen, CEO and founder of BridgeUp. BridgeUp is a payment technology company, which basically brought to optimize payments for merchants. BridgeUp was built in merchants' inner eyes. And the idea was to give them the capability to optimize payments flow, and allow the user experience to be much, much better.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Michael Harlambidis. Kalimera. I'm from EcomPay and EcomBX. And hopefully today I'll be able to cover a few topics regarding whether that's banking, infrastructure, payment flows, and basically the evolution of the payments industry and the banking industry into the Forex and CFDs.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Chris. I'm from BitPay. We're the world's largest merchant processor of Bitcoin. We've been going since 2011, successfully raised over 70 million of investment capital. And last year we processed in excess of $1 billion of customer deposits across a wide variety of merchants, from Microsoft to airlines like Air Baltic. We also have a good footprint in the Forex industry, and we support the Forex industry working with exciting brands like FX Primus, Hot Forex, XM. Today I'm going to talk about Bitcoin payments and as an alternative payment method. Thank you for the invite.
Okay, well, Boaz, maybe I can start with you. So maybe, can you talk a little bit about, I'm sure everyone is aware of how payments companies have impacted brokers and how they're treating them. But how, as you guys are sort of downstream from them, how has that made you change your business operations? What problems have they caused to you, basically, and how have you managed to overcome them?
Okay, I think we can separate your question into two fields. First of all is how we support a variety of payment options. You just mentioned that some of the Forex have now problems with Visa and MasterCard. So the idea is how do we integrate for them other means of payments, be it Bitcoin, probably my colleague here elaborate, and other ways like wallets, other APMs, vouchers, wires, the variety of options. The second issue they need to know is how to manage everything. And as Ran just mentioned, each and every merchant that has multiple payment providers needs to find a good way to consolidate them, manage the payment, optimize the conversion rate, balance the payment between the different providers so nobody will get dry and dump him, manage the risks in a way that you will eliminate as much as possible the chargeback ratio. And the final part, of course, is of the CFO to manage that all the reconciliation to check that what he's getting paid is what he should get paid. And if not, why not? And how to generate reports when discussing with his providers and showing the discrepancies and other possible errors that they have.
Sure. Ran?
Well, I think this is exactly why Bridger was built. We wanted to change the game of PSPs against the brokers and give the brokers the ability to have much more tools to speak with different payment providers. When they can see the complete map of options and solutions, they have much more ability to go and negotiate their terms. When you bring a merchant, a neutral payment technology provider that can allow them to connect to many different payment options, whoever they want to connect to, that basically change a bit the power structure here.
Again, Michael?
So I'll just flip it a bit on a different scope of how we view this, and generally my personal evaluation towards anything that has to do with payments. I would say it's not just having a solution that is able to provide you with a payment, doing it now. I'm trying to make it as interesting as possible for you guys because I can see a few eyes closing here and there. So hopefully we'll get some interaction from you and get some questions back. But the idea is not just to get the payment done today. The idea is to get the payment done, and in 1 year, 2 years' time, if there's any scrutiny about that payment, to ensure that you're able to provide any details requested, whether that's from the authorities or whether that's from correspondent banks or any investigations that might happen. And I know this is sometimes a hefty process, and it's not the best of interest to you or your customer, and sometimes it decreases retention, but it's something that needs to be done. You're all wondering, like, what's this guy saying? I mean, they were just talking about integrated solutions. Yes, okay, integrated solutions in a software environment or a technological environment where everything is connected, like here at BridgeUp, where we're connected with common systems and we have multiple solutions, is always optimal. But one of our jobs, as you correctly introduced the panel today, is we're not acting as a regulator, but it's to protect both you as an operator, but also the trader. Now, we have a lot of shift from the European companies going out to third countries, whether that's Seychelles, Belize, or other jurisdictions to get licensed and to do trades and to get European citizens as well. I mean, this is a bit of a taboo issue, but it's something that we need to bring on the surface. So if you guys are thinking of doing something like that, what are your solutions that you're able to use? Apparently, it's going to be APMs, so it's going to be alternative payment methods with e-wallets. Another solution that you might have is going to be payment schemes, Visa and MasterCard, which, again, that is being frowned upon. As you probably know, if you're trying to get European citizens out from a third country and give them a solution through Visa and MasterCard, it's not something which is really going to be embraced by the BRAM or the Best Practices Directive. And then you have the evolution of the market, which is what at least we see as a group. The evolution of the market is we're bringing back some solutions that were there before and have been forgotten. What do I mean? We're bringing back SWIFT, we're bringing back SEPA, we're bringing instant payment services, faster payment services, instant SEPA. So these are the solutions now which are surfacing back and we can provide or can be given to your customers. But this unfortunately denotes a hefty process of KYC and EDD. So you do need to have enhanced due diligence on all of the transactions because there's correspondent bankings involved and there's regulators involved. And if you do not have the support documentation, if things happen 1 year down the line, you don't know, sorry for saying, when shit's going to hit the fan. So when this happens, you need to be covered. Otherwise, you're going to have FIUs, MOGAs, and international organizations trying to locate why you're doing that transaction and who your customers are and what their source of funds are. So yes, there are new solutions coming up, which is an evolution of the existing ones. You need to collaborate with institutions that have multiple entities throughout Europe and the globe. So you need to have domestic presence, hence the Shell circular that has been issued by the regulator. So you need to find providers which will have domestic support and domestic offices, not just the technological infrastructure. People connect to people. It's not machines that connect to people.
Again, Chris,
Sorry.
try and follow that.
Sorry, I was too triggered from the last episode of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I don't think you were in the party last night.
Yeah, obviously the major card schemes provide a great service, and they're massive and they're behemoths, and they've been going for many years. But the Forex industry needs alternative payment methods, and I believe, as a payments professional, as someone that comes from blockchain payments at present, that a lot of our mission is to help create connections, help connect pipes, help join people together, join payment methods together. There's an expression that every actor in Hollywood is connected to Kevin Bacon by one or two films, and I think certainly from the Bitcoin space, it's the same. You know, every Forex merchant, if they wish to, can accept Bitcoin, can accept other alternative payment methods, can accept a wide variety of credit card methods from Boaz and other leading PSPs. Part of the mission that excites us personally is connecting with settlement banks like ING, Deutsche Handelsbank, connecting with PSPs, Wirecard, PPRO, eMerchant Pay, just to give the end customer choice and to give a Forex broker a choice of connections. And ultimately, I think everyone in the payments industry, our reputation and our good practice is our biggest asset, you know, and certainly it's a reputational based industry.
Okay, and Boaz, maybe I can come back to you. Since payments companies have come under this pressure from regulators, brokers have come under pressure from payments companies, what do you see now, risk managers, CFOs, when they come to you, what sort of things are they looking for?
Okay, when we talk about risk, of course, they want to eliminate as much as possible both chargebacks, but also declines. If you have some suspicious traffic and you want to give them the tools that they will not even send it to the processors. Because if a processor sees a high decline rate, he suspects that something goes wrong, and you have to give them very effective tools to block it just even before going out. Just to give a quick example of the things that we've been asked. For example, if you have a customer depositing with a German credit card with an IP from Afghanistan, probably you want to block it for obvious reasons. Same goes for CFOs. What they want to know is to have something, give them a tool that will allow them quickly to know what they need to get paid when, according to the agreement they have with their payment providers. Currently, the whole industry works that once a week you get a statement. It never corresponds to what you expect to get, and it's very difficult to track the differences. You have to put everything on Excel. It's a tedious work. It'll take you a full week just to understand what's going on. So they were looking for a tool that will allow them to take the agreement that they have with each of the providers, put it in the system, and then generate a report of what they should be getting, including all the fees, all the MDRs, rolling reserve that should be released, and so on. And once they have this report done easily, they can better communicate with the payment providers in case something doesn't match. And the third part is, of course, they want to check and close the loop and make sure that what they got paid to their bank corresponds to what they should have been paid to them. And here again, there are some places that it's not exactly the same. And if you have a good monitoring tool about your financing, it makes their life very, very easy.
Okay, Rand, do you want to?
Yeah, I think CFOs, and I see already here in the crowd a few that I've spoken with. CFOs and payment managers in the brokers seeking multiple options to connect. When they're connecting multiple options, the trust issues come in. They don't trust the PSP. The PSP also want to test the merchant, and there is like some kind of a testing period whenever a merchant is adding new payment providers and new PSPs. I think one of the most important things that we're looking for is the option to allocate a certain volume every month to a specific payment provider, so they can add a solution, test him with the specific volume they want to allocate for him, so the exposure will not be so big. In the end of the month, they can see that they can receive their payout and everything works well, and the next month they can increase the level of allocation. So allocation, I think in today's world, when a broker today, a large merchant here can connect to around 20 different payment providers, and if you look at today's expo, which is different, I think, than last expos I've been in, there's a lot of payment providers showing and exhibiting, and this is just to show you just a taste of the amount of options and payment providers there is. Not everyone, of course, is concluding and have a complete solution like eCompay, for example, or the guys that PayNet Easy are supporting, but each one of them has something local or something specific that he can use, and in the end, when you want to add them, you want to test them as well and not expose yourself by allocating a specific volume.
Michael, on that similar note, Michael, maybe you can talk a little bit about, Ran is correct, I mean, there are so many payments companies out there. If you're a broker, how do you figure out who you should be working with? How do you know who's the right company to go with?
Just give us all your volumes and sleep safe, huh? That's the cliche, you know. That's what everybody says when you go and. I mean,
it's true.
Jokes aside, but on a friendly level, even between us, even as when we have, I don't see people as competitors, but I see them as co-competitors, and the companies as well, because at the end of the day, we're all trying to find solutions to serve the market's need. Sometimes, yeah, we get ahead of ourselves, and when a customer comes or an operator comes, they come and they say, so I have volumes to bring you, so how much do you have? I have 2 million euros, 3 million a month, 5, 10, great, bring it all here. You know, guys, I know, sometimes we get overexcited, you know, it's a heat of the moment. But the correct practice, as all of you guys said, and based on your question, is, as we do as well, is mitigation of risk. You need to spread, and you know from spreads better than any of us who are here, your risks down. I know sometimes it's not optimal because you cannot find proper providers for every jurisdiction. You cannot find multiple providers for every jurisdiction. Hopefully, if you have a platform, that's why, I mean, I'm not flirting with Ran here, okay? Don't get me wrong. But hopefully when you've got a platform which is constantly evolving and constantly adding new solutions, they're 50% doing the job for you already. So they're trying to bring in solutions to offer you this mitigation of risk. So the idea is that you need to be on the lookout. You need to inform your providers in what solutions are in the local market. But I'm always telling you that at the end of the day, most of us, it's no secret, are using similar resources. So it's just that no matter which bank it is, it's just, you know, 10, 15 major banks which are approving these things. We're all using the same providers at the end of the day. I mean, last night, sorry, I didn't come to the party, so I was a bit, you know, it had nothing to do. I was just sitting outside. I was thinking, like, random thoughts. And one of the things I was thinking is, because we're now into the process, it's a bit irrelevant, but I just want to get the idea out.
Wake them up.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not going to talk too much. I was thinking, like, what's the cliche of the industry? I mean, I was looking at the news and they were saying that the US have lifted sanctions for weapons selling in some countries, and they're allowing the sale of the new F-36 jet fighter to the UK and they brought it to Cyprus. I was thinking, who is selling and who is doing all of these transactions? Which banks are doing all of these transactions? And I was thinking, no local bank is really doing it. None of the European ones that we work is doing it. And if we try to facilitate, because we're like an electronic banking institution, if we did these transactions, they would shoot us down like dogs. So basically what it is, some banks are running the show. And if you touch their lunch, they're going to shoot you down. So basically, the market of weapons is so big in terms of volumes and transactions that they don't allow any, you know, small players to, don't you touch my lunch, man. You know, it's my thing. So they're keeping us out of the loop. It's the same thing with the Forex, non-regulated, regulated, whatever. So it's just some major banks, they choose for how long they're going to be doing it. They choose which channels they're going to open, which basically we are the channels. We are the ones watering it down to you guys. And it's kept open. If one of us does this much wrong, they're just going to shoot us down and close it down. So sometimes, if your provider is asking over and above, give it. They're protecting you and themselves. But in the meantime, do spread, do mitigate the risk.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry. I'll go down.
So on a slightly different note, maybe Chris, you can talk a bit about how BitPay, and guys, feel free to chime in as well, how Bitcoin is maybe changing the way brokers can accept payments, how it can help them get around some of the problems that they've been facing with Visa, MasterCard, whoever else.
Yeah, most definitely, and just to join onto the last discussion, fundamentally, the Forex industry is now quite a mature industry. It's a little bit different to a few years ago, and I think we're all well aware that CFOs in your space, you know which way's up, and when you're picking a PSP, fundamentally, part of the consideration as well as the trust issue is also the knowledge issue, and that's the same for us when we connect with a partner. We need partners that understand the nuances of each alternative payment method, and that's a crucial one. Boaz talked about chargebacks. If chargebacks are an issue, which for a lot of Forex brokers, they operate reputable business and they don't have so much that sword hanging over them for 180 days of a chargeback. But if chargebacks are an issue, speak to your PSP solution that works differently. And Bitcoin is one of them. With Bitcoin, there are no chargebacks. With Bitcoin, a Bitcoin processor will settle you as a Forex broker T+2 or T+1. There isn't a rolling reserve for 180 days. There's no retaining 10% of your cash flows for 6 months. You know, that's which is a distinction that's different. So it's very interesting. The connections can be very seamless, and blockchain payments is a very viable APM alongside all the other ones that the leading PSPs are able to offer you on the market.
Hi. It's very exciting to hear what you told, actually. And coming to the back, to the last point, within the blockchain technologies and within this recording and so on, the fiat it's losing to bitcoins and other things. Do you think that fiat will come up with such things with like no like that you told, chargebacks, like other things and so on? Will the blockchain technology help us to work with the fiat industry also?
I think everything is complementary. I mean, fundamentally, the nature of Bitcoin, that there are no chargebacks, it's, for want of a better term, it's binary. There's a winner and there's a loser, and the winner is merchant, the loser potentially is consumer. They don't have the protection that everyone has had since 1974 of being able to call your bank up and say, this is a transaction I did not make. But ultimately, I think we're all competing ecosystems. Blockchain processors for the Forex industry settle you in euros or GBP or whichever currency you wish. So they're all part of the same ecosystem.
Okay. Yeah.
Can I add on to that a bit? I don't know. Ripple? Ring any bells, or what do you guys think about Ripple? I think it differentiates the two things that you mentioned, cryptos and blockchain, which is basically essentially two different elements if you spread them. So I think Ripple makes the best of both worlds in this case, and I think it's a response towards this evolutionary adaptation of cryptocurrencies and blockchain in one shell. I don't know if that makes any sense.
There's a hell of a lot of applications, I'm aware, with shorter time. I mean, one thing for everyone to think of in the payments industry is if you want to send money to somewhere the other side of the world via SWIFT, it goes through all these corresponding banking pairs. Every bank takes a charge. It takes maybe 6-7 days. You can send money anywhere instantaneously within 1 hour on Bitcoin, potentially even faster with Ripple. So the faster payments method, that's an interesting way for maybe your prospective customers who are in the far-flung regions.
I think we had one more question, so.
Hi, thanks for that. Just wanted to echo Michael's point around that you got to think for the future and not just think about now. You know, in 2-3 years' time, you know, when the regulators are looking at your transactions, you know, have you done it the right way? So totally on board with that. Question to Michael, and then maybe the rest of the panel. You mentioned 10-15 banks who are running the show. Which are they? Who are they, would you say?
The list is just next to the door. When you go out, you have a printed list. You can go with numbers. It's the eCompay compliment.
Ask Google, you know, or ask Google or my wife. They know everything. Well, it's pretty obvious which ones they are. I mean, I understand where you're coming from. It's a pretty obvious question. I'm not here to classify banks, but you can see the top-rated banks, which are the top-rated in terms of AAA. It's very easy to identify them. It's the major USD correspondent banks. So if you check the major USD correspondent banks, obviously it's one network. I don't know if you've seen the news. There's also a new penalization that came to hit tier AAA banks now with a money laundering issue and manipulation of the market that has happened. So they're there, they're getting the penalties, they're paying the penalties, but they're still there. It's essentially the money machine that exists. But at the end of the day, we need to work together, we need to find ways of adapting, and I do not, as you correctly said, I support regulation a lot, and I do not believe in the term suffocation via regulation. There is a middle ground, as long as we find ways of automating it. And going back to the beginning of how we started talking about even the whole event, it's not just an IF Expo event anymore. I think it's a fintech event. So we've got a lot of fintech companies which are here, and we're here, as all of us are here on this stage, fintech companies, to be judged by you guys. We're here to come and see what solutions we have, how deeply integrated we are between us, and how much we create an ecosystem that lays beneath these top 10, 15 banks to give you the solutions you want.
Okay, thanks very much, guys. That's all we have time for, but I know all of these guys are going to be walking around in their booths and stuff, so if you have any questions for them, head over
but they have more questions.
Sorry?
Come on, one more, you can take it.
I think we really don't have time. It's sorry, I'm being my hand is being forced, but you can feel free to ask him now.
And thank you, David. For
I know that Michael can talk for a very long time.